Canto 3 is Vidura. Vidura is on pilgrimage, and towards the end of his pilgrimage, he meets Maitreya. And he presents to Maitreya a whole chapter's worth of questions, and then there's a canto and a half remaining of Maitreya's response to his questions. So one of those questions at the very beginning, we discussed this yesterday, he wants to hear about creation. Now, Vidura is not an uneducated person. He's not a child. He's very wise, learned, very capable. But he wants to hear from a perfected soul, not just information, but he wants to hear that which will connect him to the personality of Godhead. He wants to connect with the personality of Godhead. And that is what happens when you hear from a qualified person like Maitreya. So he's in the beginning of chapter 8. The first 5 verses go back to Visarga. Sarga is what Vishnu does in creation, and Visarga is what Brahma does within creation. So this is something that Brahma does as far as Visarga, building the universe, filling up the universe with population. The 4 great Kumara sages, headed by Sanaka, as well as Narada, Ribhu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhva Reta, or Naishtika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. So that's part of creation. Part of what Brahma does to fill up the universe. He creates sages that are there to guide the attached. There's the attached and there's the detached, and these are sages that are attached to the Supreme and detached from the temporary. And then the next 3 verses we'll come back to. So there's the 4 Kumaras going at the gates of Vaikuntha, meeting Lord Narayana. This is text 5. My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. Texts 2 through 4. One who hears this description 3 times, don't hear it 4 times, you might have a problem. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes away the sinful contamination from his soul. So we have bondage from creation, but then there's devastation. So in the purport of text 5, Prabhupada writes, devastation takes place because of irreligion and falsity. Now there's degrees of devastation. There's like the total and cosmic annihilation, and there's partial devastation, and then there's little moments of devastation that we all experience every day. Little devastations. I'm devastated, man. So the irreligion and falsity are causes of devastation. So in texts 2 through 4, Maitreya is explaining to Vidura that Brahma had a son, and his name was Adharma. That's a nice name to name your son. Adharma Prabhu. And he had a daughter, Mrisha, or falsity. And then they got together, had a little incestuous relationship, and they had children. Bluffing and cheating, and they got together, and greed and cunning and anger and envy and quarrel. We don't need a translation of Kali. We all know what that one is. And harsh speech and death and fear and excessive pain and hell. You want to sign up for the job of being Brahma? You got to do all this stuff. Because within creation, there's the good stuff and there's the bad stuff. There's duality. If you're going to be Brahma, you got to be ready to do both. And according to text 5, these are causes of devastation. You know, the big one, the medium one, and the little ones. So, is there a handout? Did somebody take care of printing a handout? Yes or no? Is there a handout? Yes or no? Yes, there is. Later, you'll get a handout. You'll see this chart in the handout because it's like an application exercise. Oh, you got to do some homework. And that is, these principles of devastation play into the Dhruva story. That's why it's not chronological, but it's very logical. That is, in one sense, it belongs back in Canto 3. That would be the chronology sequence. But it's being narrated in Canto 4 because it's connected to the Dhruva story. The little devastation that Dhruva underwent, hearing the harsh speech. There it is. The harsh speech. And the pride and the envy and so forth, the devastating force that his stepmother was carrying. And she hurled it at little Dhruva. And we may also, from time to time, be influenced by some devastating potency and, be engaged by it. We become the instrument of devastation. Little ones, not the big ones. But, so we should be aware of what that is. So that's the next question. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asks the question in his commentary to text 5. How does knowing these things help become pious? And here's the text. When we hear this description 3 times, attains piety and washes away the sinful contamination from his soul. Well, that sounds pretty good. Keep hearing it. But it's knowledge but we know from Canto 6, knowledge alone is not enough. We know that from our practical experience too. Knowledge alone is not enough. But by knowledge, it's more likely, it's possible, that we can avoid these causes of devastation in our lives and not become instruments of them. It helps to have knowledge. It's not sufficient, but it helps. So the little note at the bottom says, when the class is over, you'll likely take prasadam. So when you take prasadam, have your little handout sheet and discuss with the person next to you that you're taking prasadam with what the handout sheet says. It's an application exercise of this topic, the causes of devastation and how they may be acting in the Dhruva story or how they may be acting in your life, and through knowledge how to put on the brakes and not indulge. So that's the first 5 verses of chapter 8, and then the next 3 verses describe the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj. We saw the slide. There's the lineage. Brahma's up on top. Let's go at the bottom. Dhruva's at the bottom, down here, and naturally he has a mother and a father. So Suniti is his mother, Uttanapada is his father, And Suniti is the elder queen, and the firstborn son is Dhruva. Uttanapada has a second queen. Her name is Suruchi, and her son, the younger son, is Uttama. So they're key players in this chapter 8. And then Uttanapada has a brother, an elder brother, named Priyavrata. And Uttanapada has 3 sisters. The 3rd canto, we hear a lot about Devahuti. And those 3 daughters and 2 brothers, they're sons and daughters of Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, who are descendants of Brahma. So that's the lineage. And so just to get, this is to give us a picture. We're really early in Satya Yuga. The universe isn't filled up yet. It's kind of like, it's just new and getting started. But Dhruva, he's aware, although he's a little boy, he's aware of the exalted lineage from which he comes. His great-grandfather, his grandfather, his father kind of misses a beat, but his uncle, his father's brother, Priyavrata, he's way out there too. The elder brother should have normally become the king or the emperor. But Priyavrata appealed to his father